I'm Donna Howells. I'm a wife, mother, and an artist and grandmother. I'm 71 years old and I live in Cabbagetown, Atlanta, Georgia. First thing, my first memory concerning art was when I was very little, maybe 2 years old. We lived in the country in a 200-year-old house that was very beautiful. Our neighbor came over and she was an artist. She brought a jar of water and indigo blue paint and she dipped a brush loaded with paint in that water and handed it to me, and I can remember the paint swirling in the water and the color was so intense, and that really affected me at that moment when I was that little. And I think that was the beginning of my passion for art. But really, where I experienced it the most was when I went to art school. I went to the Philadelphia College of Art, and I really loved that environment, which was kind of bohemian and very free, and people just really immersed in the art. I think that's when I really began to experience that that's where I was the most comfortable. My inspiration for my art, it can come from many sources. Sometimes I'll just see something or hear something. For example, when that hunter killed Cecil the lion, I immediately did a little piece of free art, which we give away free art here as part of the free art movement in Atlanta. I did a little free art of that lion and said $50,000 could not buy your beauty. That really affected me. I get inspiration from the Bible and from my faith. For many years when I was doing more folk art, I did a series of people going to heaven with their arms raised, lots of people in the air. That was inspiration that I did for many years. And now currently I'm getting inspiration from where I live, which is Cabbagetown. We have a cotton mill here, an old cotton mill with big smokestacks. And I read about it, I studied about it, and found out they had child labor at the turn of the century. And I've been doing a series of paintings of the little girls that worked there called the Spinners. And then another thing that's happened that's really exciting for me is I've begun doing street art in the Krog Tunnel and on some walls. I began that when I was 70 years old. And that's why for that art I go by the name of 70 Dot. The piece in Cabbagetown, the mural on the wall, that's one of the Spinners. And those little girls in the cotton mill, they had to walk up and down the big rows of spinning bobbins, and they looked for broken thread. And their job was to repair the thread and fix it and put the bobbin back in the row so that everything could work correctly. And those children worked 12-hour days, 6 days a week, from 6 in the morning to 6 at night with a short break. And I became so interested in that. And so it was a privilege to be able to do that wall because many people use that street to come into Cabbagetown from Memorial. And so that wall is the little girl, the spinner, having a vision. And this is kind of funny, it's kind of a joke. If you live in Cabbagetown, people will frequently ask you, how did Cabbagetown get its name? And there are two main theories. One is that a truck tipped over that was full of cabbages. And the other theory, which I believe, is that the poor people in Cabbagetown cooked a lot of cabbage because it was cheap and economical. So in this mural, I'm presenting a funny third theory, and that is that this girl is having a vision of cabbages falling from the sky. It's kind of like a cabbage apocalypse, and this is a little bit of a joke of a third theory. This painting is a painting that I'm keeping for my family. I've sold a lot of my paintings, but this one I'm keeping. Mother wanted me to be a debutante, and I was very carefully trained in etiquette and pouring tea from a silver tea service. Well, I didn't become a debutante, but here in this picture, I'm having a tea party, and it's with my favorite artists. We've got Howard Finster on the left, Basquiat, Picasso, and Frida Kahlo. And Banksy, who's another favorite, he couldn't come, of course he never comes, but he sent his rat who's spray painting the tunnel. And we've got some symbolism here. The baby Elvis was one of Finster's pieces, and Samo is Basquiat. That's similar to his figures and his bird, similar. I didn't want to copy it exactly. And then the Dove of Peace was similar to Picasso's dove that he used so frequently. And of course, Frida had pet monkeys, and she's got one there with a Coca-Cola bottle because we're in Atlanta. Behind her is the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland to show that this is a dream. And then on the wall in the back, I've got the words crossed off for the Tea Party because Basquiat would always do that with his words. And back in the tunnel, we've got Banksy's rat, and it says above the tunnel, it says, Banksy sends his regrets. I just want to have my art remembered, that I felt it from my soul, and it was just an expression as a author would want to be remembered through their books, or a speaker through the speeches. I just am happy when anybody sees my work, and I was really happy the other day. I was talking to a young woman who'd grown up in Cabbagetown, and she was from an old Cabbagetown family, and she didn't know some of the details about this child labor, and she walked into a home in Cabbagetown and saw one of my paintings. And on my paintings, a lot of times, I write information on the painting about, for example, the children working 12-hour days, 6 days a week. And she said the painting brought her to tears. And that's how I want my work remembered, that it's made an impact on a few people. That would make me very happy. Here is Graffiti Butterfly. We just want to thank you, Theodore and Justin, for doing this documentary. I think your work is wonderful, and I think it's important that you're documenting these different artists. Thank you so very much.